And the short bio on this lovely speaker is that they have been coming to Burning Man for the last 5 years. They've gone to 2 global leadership conferences with Burning Man. They're at the core team of this incredible large theme camp called Costume Cult. And she's here to talk about how to have an adventure. And she's on her process right now. So please, everybody, welcome Stacy Weldon, Wrangler.
All right, hi everybody. I'm Wrangler, and I'm actually here to talk about, here we are in the middle of the biggest adventure, and I want to help people. My mission is to help you take this big adventure and all that you're learning here and bring it back to the default world. She told me, all right, let me just tell you my definition of adventure. My definition of adventure is to find your own inner fear and find a fun way to flip it around and overcome it. So if I get a little off whack, it's because I'm really afraid of public speaking. So I'm here to overcome this. I have, years and years ago, I had hit a rock bottom and I wasn't sure how to get out of it, and I was given advice to take myself on adventures. And you know, that back then I had a big corporate job, I had 2 young children, I had a mortgage, I have all the responsibilities, and I was freaking out. It's like, how I can't just leave everything and go backpacking in Nepal, which was my definition then of what adventure was. You know, going off and doing big travel trips, which a lot of times people think of adventure. I mean, if you look at Richard Branson, he's a good definition of adventure. He's always flying hot air balloons across the Atlantic. I couldn't do that. And then the advice became really, learn how to have adventures in your own backyard, which really means more about having a mindset. And here at Burning Man, we are learning a lot of different ways to have adventures. And when we get back home, we're like, oh, I wish life here were like it were at Burning Man. But the thing is, it can be, because it's all in how you look at it. So a lot of what I do is I try to help people shift their mindset. It's like, from life is hard to life is fun. And over the years, I've actually come up with 10 tips. So I'm going to just quick tell you what my 10 tips are that basically have come from how I do it. The first one is to have courage to try new things, and baby steps is the next one. As I said, you don't have to go to Nepal. One of the tips I like to do, it's called the I Wonder game, and that's really based in using your childlike wonder. Don't be childish, be childlike, and always just wonder what's going to happen and let go of the outcome. Another tip is to be inspired by others. It's like, if she can do this, I can do this. You know, it's like, if she can jump off a cliff, well, I can take myself out to dinner alone. It's that kind of attitude. It's not not being envious. You know, it's not being jealous of what others have. It's being inspired that if they can do this, then I can move an inch if they moved a mile, because everybody's different. One of my favorite tips, which I'll probably go into longer, is I call it ABC. Always be curious. I like ABC better than ABL, always be learning. One of the things I've learned over the years, one of the reasons I started out having adventures was really to find out what I thought was fun. I have to admit, I was a people pleaser, so for years and years of my whole life, I would do what other people thought was fun and just say it was fun for me. So that's one of the reasons I started out taking adventures, was to learn what was fun for me personally. And I learned a lot also through failures. So, but what I've learned is I love learning. But that means being curious, and it's always asking why. Another tip is dare yourself. You know, push your limits, whatever your limits are. You can do it small, you can do it big. I mean, here You can zip line, or just jump on a trampoline, or swing on a swing, or learn all sorts of new things, but you can dare yourself to try something different. Another tip is gratitude or appreciation. Appreciate what you can do. I was speaking earlier about my fear of being up here, and I had to have gratitude for the fact that I actually showed up. I mean, it would have been easier for me to stay home or in my tent or anywhere else but here. So it's learning how to appreciate a lot of the different things. Even times it's like you can appreciate or have gratitude. I was unemployed for a while, but I still had a car to drive my kids to school. So I was grateful for those little things. And it made life so much easier, made it more fun, more flow. Another tip is always take a negative and turn it into a positive. And for each, I'm not going to tell you how to do that one, because for everybody that's a different method. But it's a great way to turn your attitude around, and try and look for the positives in the negatives. Another tip is self-care is not selfish. Here at Burning Man, obviously we have to take care of ourselves, or we'll dehydrate and pass out or be in medical tent. We don't want to do that. But taking that back home, it's also taking care of yourself and knowing that yourself is important enough to do that. Not being self-centered, it's being self-care. And they're two different things. And I have to say that took me a journey to learn the difference between self-care, selfish, and self-centered. And then the last tip I have is to learn to let go of the outcome. So, there's a lot of times, you hear the phrase all the time, let it go, and it's going to means a lot of different things different times. But it's like, let go of the outcome. You start out with something, you go off on an adventure, you say, well, I want to go do this, and it doesn't happen. You let go of how it's going to happen and learn the lessons that's in it. One of the lessons I had was when I first was going out, I went out with a purpose to go meet people out at a bar. And that's not my norm. And I went to the bar and I had the intention I was going to make a friend before I went home. And I didn't. I failed miserably. But I learned from that lesson. I let go of the outcome. I didn't hold on to the fact that I was a failure because I didn't meet anybody. I was like, oh, I learned going out to a bar is not my idea of fun. So I went back to my ABC, always be curious. What is fun? Well, so then I started doing things like I took a belly dancing class. Or I also, I learned how to do Reiki, and I learned how to do other things. So I found out other things, so it's always be curious. And here at Burning Man, there's so many opportunities to learn how to always be curious. There's the shiny object syndrome, I guess is what they call it here. What's the next thing? But each one's an adventure. If you don't have any expectations of it, it's an adventure. So when you go back home, you can do the same thing. You can go find fun in your own hometown, in your backyard, or you can learn, you've learned crafts. Everything here, everybody's are doers and makers, and it's good to do that back home. I remember, I live in New York City, which is one of the most exciting cities around, besides Burning Man. And I learned, for years and years and years, I didn't explore the city. And then I started to explore it, and I found all the fun neighborhoods, or the speakeasies, or whatever. And then when I started not commuting into the city anymore and staying out in the suburbs, I'm like, oh my God, I'm nothing but a suburbanite. But that's not true. I went out and I played tourist in my own town, and I found things in my town that were just as exciting as in Manhattan. We have art studios, and we have cute little coffee shops, and we have things like that. So it's a lot of things like that. And you can always also go back home and be curious about trying new things at a restaurant you've always gone to. I mean, you try new things here just because you're walking by and somebody says, here, I made this, come have dinner with us, right? Well, you can try that at home. So really that, when we're talking about adventure, it isn't necessarily having to go to the extremes of swinging onto swings, on the Death Guild swing set. it it's about looking at things differently. You know, you can be on your swing set in your kid's playground and close your eyes and have just as much fun as if you were on that big swing set out there. Well, I feel like I've talked really fast, but so my biggest thing is just, you know, try and flip how you look at things. You know, always be curious. And when you take all the interesting things here, don't regret them, but learn how to apply it to your life at home, you know, and be curious. That's it. That's my my speech. Life's an adventure, Garrett. All right, I guess now if anybody has any questions.
Raise your hand and the mic will come to you. Or if you want to just share.
So you mentioned that you were a mom, and I was wondering if there was any particular tip that that you presented that you think is great for momhood.
Say that again.
So, in dealing with your kids, did you find any one of your particular tips that you kept going back to?
My kids were actually a good inspiration. Do you remember Scholastic? Oh, sorry, no brands. Magic School Bus. She, Miss Frizzle had the best advice: get messy, take chances, make mistakes. You know, it's like that's how you learn. So yeah, it was easy, and yeah, my kids like my adventurous attitude, and they've taken it on as well. You know, they'll start to complain about something and know not to. You know, they'll go, oh wait, but there's got to be a silver lining here, or how can I look at it differently? My 7-year-old niece also came back with, you know, there's the thing about looking at things differently. It's like there's a Native American tradition where you have to come up with 7 solutions to a problem before, and then talk about it, and then you pick one and go with it and see if it works. If not, then you go back. It's like that's the curiosity part too. It's like you learn to tell them, keep looking at things from a different point of view, and something's going to click and be easier. You know, it doesn't have to be a hard thing. It can be fun. So yeah, it works with my kids too easily.
Do you have another question?
Yes, I have a question. We were like a week before we came to Burning Man. We were so excited to get here that something in our mindset just shifted, and really it was just another week at work. But so many things happened that week. There was so much synchronicity, and like a whole other mindset just magically appeared. And I really want to have this. It's still here during this week, but I still want to have it. I don't want to be tired and come home and just. I want to keep the energy up. How do you like keep the energy?
Well, Burning Man is its own vortex of energy, that's for sure. But it's find what it is that's making you happy, what's making you feel in flow and energized, and bring that into your everyday life. I mean, I don't know what your corporate job is. You may not be able to have the blue hair or beautiful braids all the time, but you could probably wear some fun jewelry that will remind you to do that, or you can shift your corporate outfit just a little. You know, you could wear crazy shoelaces, or you know what I mean. It's like you can find the little things that will remind you that of the energy you had here. But it's also looking for the new things to try at home. You know, it's like remembering, it's like, oh, here I was allowed to. Well, accept yourself that you're allowed to also do that out there.
We have another question.
Hi, I'm Chancellor from Canada. So I've been also doing this, following the same rules to chasing a life as an adventure. I have a very interesting concern, or also kind of a puzzle for myself as well. It's like, of all these adventures, all this with you changing a life to be all the adventures, where do you think that gonna lead you to in the end?
Where is it going to lead me?
Yeah.
That's the last tip, let go of the outcome? I don't know. I mean, Burning Man has immediacy. It's all about the now. And also, it's like one of my other tips is baby steps. One adventure builds upon another. I don't know where it's going to lead me. I mean, 5 years ago or 6 years ago when someone said, hey, you know, you want to go to Burning Man? I'm like, oh, I think I know what that is. And look at me now. I've been to the Global Leader Conference. I'm speaking here. I'm a lead for my camp. I built art this year out on Playa. If you had told me 5, 6 years ago I'd be like in the middle of the desert plugging in batteries at sunrise, I would have thought you're completely nuts. I'm like, I'm not going to go there. And I am. I don't know what's next, but I'm open for it.
So that's the fun part, right? You don't know. That's the fun part.
You make it fun. It's nerve-wracking, but it's all right because when you have a positive outlook about it's going to be fun, then you seem to attract it.
Thank you.
You know.
We have time for one more question. Anybody? Hand up. Anyone? Excellent. Sorry, I'm listening.
Thank you for the talk, and I don't actually have a question. I just would like to share about you were talking how to bring Burning Man attitude to the default world. For me, it was bringing practices that I learned here, like meditation or breath work, or I don't know, painting. Anything you've tried here and made it feel good, just make it happen at home, and it helped me bring myself through the year to the next Burning Man event in a good spirits, so to say. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you.